But in Philippians, the 3rd chapter, the 14th verse, it reads, I press toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus. I want to talk about too free to be disqualified. I just want to focus on that for just a few moments. Too free to be disqualified. I was paying attention this week when Sha'Carri Richardson, that is her name, Shar Richardson, who has been deemed the fastest woman in the United States, running the 100 meter, was recently disqualified from running in the Olympics because of her testing positive with the use of marijuana. I want to talk about this, and there's so many angles of this, and there's a lot of controversy around this. And since her testing positive, her own statements were, I know what I did, I know what I was supposed to do, I still made that decision. Some side with her because she just got word that her mother passed, and she said that in the midst of her hearing about the passing of her mother, that she used marijuana to cope and to deal with that pressure. And in the midst of her using marijuana, she violated the Olympic standard of testing, and they found traces of marijuana in her system. What's interesting is that cannabis or marijuana can be used in the Olympics only if it is approved by the Olympics, which means that you have to have a doctor's prescription, or it has to be previously known or prior known to. But she did not inform them, nor was it approved by a doctor. Therefore, she was disqualified. And I want to deal with this is because what I am looking at is that marijuana is becoming one of the biggest traps for the black community. Wonder how many black men and black women are in jail today because of marijuana. How many have court trials because of marijuana? How many are being pulled over and ticketed because of marijuana? I mean, it's interesting because it is almost as if it is called a marijuana trap. Some states it's legal, in other states it's not. It's legal, but it's not legal. It's a drug, but not really. You can use it only if they give you permission to. And millions are walking around thinking that there's nothing wrong with smoking marijuana, when in many places it is still illegal. And when you test positive for it, if you are in a state, and I want to make this very clear, that it has not been legalized, it is illegal. So many of our people are getting into this trap because you're listening to Other commentaries say that there's nothing wrong with cannabis. There's nothing wrong with marijuana. There's nothing wrong with smoking it. But yet you're in a state where it is still illegal. And if it is illegal, it is illegal. I'm not preaching this message of judgment. I am saying that it is being used as a trap. So then now in the state where she was, Oregon, marijuana was legalized. But in the Olympics, it could not be used. You see the trap? So then what I'm telling you is that as black people, as African Americans, could marijuana not be the new trap for us? Even on your job, if they legalize it, your job could hold it against you, because they may say, yes, it is legal, but you can't show up at work and work the fork job or the forklift while using it. You can't transport passengers while having that in your system, and therefore we must fire you because you came to work with it in your system. Is marijuana not the new trap for African Americans or for people in general? I want to tell you that if we're not careful, it can become the new way that we disqualify ourselves. We are too free to be disqualified. This girl is the fastest woman in the world, and disqualified by the use of marijuana. Paul says that there comes a time when whatever urge we have within our flesh, whatever desire we have that will deter us from giving into ourselves, we must learn to press towards a higher prize. That for a moment she forgot about the millions that she could make. She forgot about all of the fame and the fortune she could have. For a moment, she forgot about the fact that she was on her way to the highest platform in the world, the Olympics. She put a blunt to her mouth. Paul says, you can't forget about the prize. You must press toward the prize of the high calling, which is in Christ Jesus. Free yourself and find freedom in Him. There are ways that you can disqualify yourself. We disqualify ourselves, watch this, when we don't handle low moments in our life right. All of us have low moments. That's why I don't stand in judgment of this young lady, because all of us have low moments. She lost her mother. And listen, people lose loved ones, and if you lose a loved one and they tell you don't cry, they tell you, oh, girl, get over it, oh, boy, why you acting like that, let it go, and all of this stuff. They can say that until it hits their home, until it's their mother, their father, their child. It's easy to say. And you don't know. You have to be careful with you saying what you will or won't do. You don't know what you will or won't do until it hits you. But what I'm saying to you, as a disciple of Christ, already discipline yourself that when low moments come, already having made up in your mind that I'm going to keep pressing. Low moments come, learn how to distinguish a bad day versus the end. There is a difference. Elijah had a bad day and thought it was the end. He went up under a juniper tree and said, Lord, take my life. It was just a bad day because that woman Jezebel was on his trail and wanted to kill him. Jezebel was a bad sister, boy. She all she had to do was say, I want to kill Elijah, and he took flight, which means that she had a reputation of following through on her word. Because when she said it, she knew he had the authority to execute it. So he went and hid under a juniper tree and said, Lord, take my life. He was just having a bad day and thought it was the end. You have to be careful that you don't get your days mixed up. Because you're going through on your job, because you're going through in your finances, because your marriage is at a dark place, because your child is acting crazy, and because things are already in your life, and because the doctor has given you a grim prognosis, it don't mean it's the end. It just means you got to go through a little something. But don't disqualify yourself and don't disqualify God. Still press toward the prize in the high calling. You got to press. Don't disqualify yourself. I've already been too long. I got to hurry up. But let me tell you, we disqualify ourselves when we don't handle low moments right. But we disqualify ourselves when we forget the prize that's before us. And I'm going to end with this. This girl had been training for years to make it to the Olympics. For years. She had all kind of professional trainers, people talking in her ear. And that one moment disqualified her. Can I say this to you? That we've got to know who's in our ear and know that moment that can disqualify you. Keep the prize in front of you. And don't let the enemy steal the prize. Don't let the enemy take your prize. Here is the grace that even if the enemy has come in your life and has disqualified you from some things already, because you had it going on at one point in your life and you were in the trajectory of doing great things and you were excelling and you were doing good and you lost it. Well, how are you going to help me, preacher? Well, here is the grace for you today. The grace for you today is that even if you make a mistake, the sovereign of God is free enough to still give you another chance. You know why? Because even after she was disqualified, another report came back and said, wait a minute, she's disqualified from the 100-meter, but we still may be able to use her in the 4x100. So then now, she may not be able to run the 100-meter in the Olympics, but there's consideration that they'll still let her run in the 4x100 race. And I pray that they will look beyond her fault and her error and don't let her dream be shattered over something that is debatable already in America. And let this girl go run and fulfill her dreams in the 4x100 race. I pray that she gets a chance to still go prove herself that she's the fastest woman in the world. And that same grace rests upon you. God is free enough that the enemy can't stop him from blessing you. God is free enough that no imp in hell, no devil in hell can stop him from keeping your life suspended from the greatest blessings that he has offered.